Hey everyone, tarekith here, and today I'm going to be looking at the Roland MC707 a little bit more in depth again, this time focusing on the knobs and some of the motion sequencing you can do. So let's just kind of jump right in and get started here. You have 3 knobs per track, so 24 knobs altogether. These are the only knobs you can actually do any kind of motion recording on. In general, they kind of follow the same layout. The first knob is like a filter. You can see the name of the assignment and the value here in the display. The second knob is kind of a generic all-purpose knob, depending on the specific patch. Sys Control 1, as you can see here. I'll talk about that again in a second. And then we also have the reverb send, and in general, like this last knob on each track is a reverb or delay send. If you want to see what a value is stored without actually having to change anything, you just hold shift and turn the knob. It'll tell you what the stored value is for any knob you turn. It's pretty handy if you're tweaking something and realize that you just don't like the way it sounds. You can go ahead and just take a quick look and see what it was actually saved at. The knob assignments are saved on a per clip basis. If you have the sound select mode to clip mode, if you have the sound select mode to track mode, then they're saved on a per track basis. So quite a bit of flexibility there, which is really nice. Another thing about the knobs is in the system settings, you can actually go ahead and you can set these up to be either direct knob mode or catch knob mode, so the value won't change. Like whatever the currently assigned value is, if it's different than the knob position, it won't change until the knob position passes through like the saved value. Pretty standard on synths nowadays. I tend to use direct mode when I'm actually working on the set and writing it, just because it's a little quicker to dial in sounds. There's a jump in sound usually, because the value's got to pick up where it left off. But I don't mind that much for when I'm actually writing songs. But when it comes to performing songs, I'm going to use the catch mode. That way, there's none of those sudden jumps in volume or the effects parameters or whatever happen to be tweaking. So pretty standard stuff, but nice to see it there. If you want to change the knob assignments, that's pretty easy now on the 707. They made this quite a bit easier than the TR8S. There's a dedicated knob assign button. So you can see here where your clip is at track 4, clip 4. And you can see that we're assigned cutoff, sys control 1, and reverb send. One of the things that might be surprising when you first go into this assign mode, so this first knob here, we can change the assignments. There's not a ton of parameters in here that can be assigned to each knob at first glance. So we have level, pan, coarse tune, fine tune, portamento time, cutoff, resonance, attack, decay, release, vibrato rate, vibrato depth, vibrato delay, octave shift, basically just shifting up the notes an octave up or down, delay send, reverb send, pitch bend, sys control 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have some effects parameters. I have this low boost assigned to this track, so I can do a few parameters. I can do low boost frequency, the gain, and that's it. So not a bad selection, but definitely not all the different parameters of the synth engine or the effects engine. However, there's kind of a way around it. If you see the second knob, it's assigned to sys control 1. You have 4 different sys controls you can assign to a knob, and those are actually mod matrix sources. So you'd say this knob I want to be sys control 3, and then you could go into the mod matrix for the patch and use sys control 3 to control a bunch of different parameters if you wanted. So on that hand, you can actually make this knob actually function like a macro with these sys control values, and you have 4 of those per patch. So there is actually a lot more you can assign to the knobs than it first looks like. The only downside is because they're called sys control 1 through 4, you don't actually see what they're controlling. All you can see is just the generic sys control term, but it's better than nothing. So that is how you change the knob assignments. It's really quick. You can just jump around track to track and quickly change what you want. Each of these knobs controls filter mod or effects knob. These other knobs here, these are endless encoders. You can push to turn. They're kind of clicky compared to these. These are really nice and smooth, but these kind of have a clicky feel. One thing I actually want to point out really quick about these knobs is how fine a resolution they have when you're doing sound programming, at least synthesis stuff. So let's go into a synth engine. And just for an example here, here's the cutoff value for this knob. And as you can see, I'm turning it a lot, quite a bit. It's taken a while. It's not really going up that fast. I can hold shift and turn it, and hold or press and turn the knob, but overall it's still kind of slow when you're dialing in sounds. There's actually some parameters that have even more values, like the EQ. If you go to frequency, like even if you hold shift or turn the knob down, like you still have to scroll a lot to go from like 2000 hertz. Like I'm holding shift and I'm trying to get to say 12,000 hertz. I mean, it just takes a while. So I hope that, Roland can kind of way to, find a way to sort of fix that and make it a little bit easier for these greater ranges. But I just wanted to point that out really quick about these knobs here under the display, these soft encoders. Otherwise, for the most part, they feel pretty good. Like I said, they're a little wobbly and they're kind of clicky compared to the main knobs, but that's not really a big problem. Okay, so let's talk about if you want to record knob movements. These are the knobs you can actually record. The track faders you can't record. Those are kind of live all the time, which is nice for performance aspect. You always know what's muted, what's quiet, that kind of thing. But let's say that I want to pick a track and record some filter cutoff on it just to be easy here. This is a low boost. Let's see. Let's try something else. There we go. So to record this, all I have to do is make sure the motion recording is on. This will actually play back anything you previously recorded. So it's nice you can toggle it on and off as like a performance effect. And then you have to press record to actually record. And you can just come on out, and if you go back and play that. So it's pretty easy to actually record the knob movements to kind of, tweak things in time with the music. If you want to edit it, yeah, you have to go into note mode and hold down a step where you have some recorded automation. If you see up here on the screen, by default, it'll usually be note mode. So you're selecting whatever note is on that step. But if you press over with the arrow keys, you go to motion, and you can see what the actual recorded knob number is. So it's 100 there, 93. You can see that's going down. So that's how you can edit, per step. You can also add the other two knobs too per step if you want. The only thing to remember is if you do that, it's not like electron parameter locks where it only changes for that step. Like once the sequence starts up again, if you set this one step with a really low filter cutoff, for instance, like it'll stay there as the pattern loops until you like have another step locked that says open that cutoff back up. So just something to keep in mind. One last thing I want to show people real quick about this when it comes to editing the motion sequences is there's actually a really cool function called the motion designer. So let's go back again to do this. This is the first measure, the first step. If I press function, I enter the motion designer utility. And what this does is takes like cyclic modulation and creates it for you automatically. So let me just kind of demonstrate this. Right now I have, let's see, it's going to be controlling filter cutoff because that's what's recorded here already. So I'll change this to the shape at LFO saw. You can see there's different shapes you can use for your modulations. I'll do something obvious, so I'm just going to do LFO saw. The step length, how long you want the modulation created for. So I could do it for like the length of the entire pattern, all 8 bars, the minimum value for the modulation, and then the maximum value. So here it's going to start at the beginning of the pattern at 0 for the filter cutoff, and by the end of the pattern, it's going to get up to 127 just to demonstrate. Oops, actually, you have to press enter to commit it. There we go. So you can hear the filter slowly opening over time. And I just set that really quick with the motion designer, and I had to go through and record like manually all 8 bars. But you can do some other kind of cool stuff with that too. So if we go back to this, again, I'm just holding the step down. I have motion selected. I'll press function to get to motion designer. If I change like the step length from like the whole 128 for like all 8 bars, let's say I just make it 4 steps. Same thing then, the first step will be the lowest at 0 for the filter cutoff, and the fourth step will be 125 for the filter cutoff. So we hit enter. And what that does now, it actually repeats those 4 steps like over and over again for the length of the pattern. So I'll hold this down. You see the first step is filter 0, 31, 62, 94. And then it goes back down step 5, like it repeats 0, 31. So you can get some really rhythmic kind of effects this way. The manual mentions using it to fake sidechain, like if you had this routed to amplitude, or I guess even filter cutoff could kind of make a sidechain sound. So it's a really interesting thing that Roland's added for like making modulations that are 100% repeatable and really finely detailed. It's pretty quick to use once you get the hang of it, and it's a function I don't really remember seeing in too much else. So in a way, it's kind of unique to the 707. Anyway, that's the knobs and motion recording. If you have any questions, as always, put them in the comments, and I'll get to them as soon as possible. Until next time.